Good afternoon, everyone. We invite you to stand as we worship together. There are more sunny days this week, and as we look at the light and feel the heat of the sun, we can know that how good is our God's creation. And let us just spend this time to come back to our God and praise Him with all our heart, knowing that He's always there for us. Let us sing together.
Hi everyone, welcome back to church. I hope you had a great Sabbath, great week, bit distracted on lyric, but whether you're here with us in person or online, I hope you had a good week. Who here went shopping yesterday and broke their bank? Alright, so just Auntie Jenny. Auntie Jenny and I can relate then. So it was Black Friday yesterday. It was crazy packed in Eastland apparently during lunchtime, but broke our banks, So you can talk amongst yourselves later during the icebreaker. But I would like to invite Maree up first before I forget to invite her later. Maree was here a couple of weeks ago doing the children's story while her husband was preaching. So we'll see who's a better preacher today, isn't it?
Competition is not good.
Who do you think is a better preacher, though?
Maybe you should ask Lydia.
Oh, Lydia.
I think we both have our strengths in preaching. I like to tell stories. So my sermons are stories, always. His are much more theologically great.
So it's a good balance. It's yin and yang. Okay, that's good. So I know that you used to teach in NCC in Teddy's class.
Yep.
So, and I know that you've moved on to a different position. So what do you do now?
Okay, I coordinate a new project for the Australian Union Conference called the Worship Project. So we are developing resources, curating and educating people around the importance of daily devotion, family worship, and trying to fill the gaps in the resources that are already there so that we can give people really great Adventist resources to be able to do family worship and personal devotion time. So I'm always going around looking for people who want to be involved, and I already dragged people from this congregation into being involved. Ishan had a devotional that was published today on social media that has got some really good attention, which is good. So that's what I'm doing. It's great.
Yeah. Do you prefer doing that over teaching, or is it?
No. I love to teach. So teaching is absolutely in my blood, and I am not saying that I will not go back to it. There's every possibility and hope that one day I'll be back within a school. So I love to teach.
So you might teach them when they're a bit older.
Yeah, you just never know. I feel sorry for them because if you ask Elise and Teddy, they'll tell you that I'm a really hard teacher. So I crack the whip and make them work very, very hard. Isn't that right, Elise? Make you work hard? Yeah. Even when I taught them online, I still made them work hard.
That's good. So I don't know if you want to share a bit about what you're preaching today, or do you want to keep it as a surprise?
It's so much a surprise. Yeah? If I tell you now, I'll just keep going and then there won't be any of the
so we should
everything
put a full
else.
stop on it. Yeah.
So
sounds good. Yeah. And then, like the usual upper room question, what's your favourite food?
Oh, you're not going to... Okay, my favourite food is actually salad. And I always say that and people look at me and go, yeah, right. But if you ask anyone that lives with me, I'm pretty sure that they'll tell you that if someone puts salad out there, I'm first in. I actually really love salad and I can't eat sugar. So nothing sweet is an option for me. So I don't understand this when that is my preference. So there you go. Just good genes or something.
All right. Well, thank you for coming up and
Thank
sharing
you.
a bit about yourself. We have just a few announcements, not like last week when Catherine was up here for 30 minutes with announcements. Next week we have an outdoor worship in Nobelia's Heritage Park in Emerald, which is about half an hour away. So anyway, hopefully the weather keeps up their good work like it did this week. So the upper room is closed. Go to the park at 2:30 like usual. You need to bring your own picnic, bring your own lunch. 1:30, sorry. Thank you. So 1:30, bring your own picnic, bring your picnic rugs. Don't come to church. Worship starts at 1:30, lunch is at 12. And you can bring your pets, you know. I'm bringing Wormsley, not my pet, but I'm bringing Wormsley, so Joanne will be there. And we have the gingerbread decorating in December, second week of December. Teams, the registration is closing up today, so if you haven't submitted your teams to Joanne, do so today. And with that, I'm going to do the icebreaker. So who here has made the teams up for your gingerbread competition? Shame on you for the rest of you who didn't, bring your hands up. I would like the people who have made your teams to go to your teams. And for the 80% of you who didn't raise your hands up, form a team today. Once you've formed your team, tell Joanne today. And if you're not participating in it, just join any random teams. If you know that there are kids in the team, try to fit an adult in it, because I want us to go online, look for the weirdest gingerbread house, and then I'll be the judge. I'll see who has the weirdest house on their phones. So yeah. And then once you're done, just share about what you're expecting for Christmas. I'll give you about 3 minutes. Mind. So 1 minute left. I'm just waiting for Uncle Edison. I found a winner. So who do you think the winner is? Do you think you found the weirdest thing? If you think you are the winner, just raise your hands up. So the winner is Caitlin's team. It was on gingerbread with ham on it, so don't do it when you do it. Anyways, I'd like to invite the worship team back up. The offering for this week is towards the education sector. And a lot of people don't know this, but I went to NCC. It was a good school. So if you'd like to give some offering to the education sector today, do so through the My Giving app. Thank you.
Stand.
It's so wonderful to see every one of you here today. So we are here to worship God. That's one of the reasons we are here. So I'm sure there are more than 10,000 reasons why we want to worship God. So this song will tell us part of the reason. I'm sure you have your own reason in your heart and why you want to worship our God today. So we shall sing our next song, 10,000 Reasons.
Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, I'll worship Your holy name. The sun comes up, is the new day dawning. It's time to sing Your song again. Whatever may pass and whatever lies before me, let me be singing when the evening comes. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, I'll worship Your holy name. You're rich in love and You're slow to anger.
I invite you all to take whatever position you're comfortable in to pray. Dear God, thank you for this Sabbath day, that we can have a day of rest and worship you. Whether it's been a good or bad week, you're always here through it all, and we can always depend on you. I'd like to especially pray for everyone who is struggling, mentally, physically, or spiritually. Please be with them and guide them as they continue on their journey, and let them know that they are never alone. Please also be with those who are caught in conflict around the world, as there are so many lives being affected. Please help them as they go through this difficult time. Please be with Maree as she shares your message with us today. I pray that you'll speak through her and we will all be touched by your words. Thank you for everything you've done for us, and please be with us all as we head into a new week. In your name I pray, amen.
Hey kids. Okay, can you come this way a little bit? I know that's where you normally sit, but I've got stuff I have to show you. Okay? So I need you to, scooch. That's awesome. All right, first of all, who can tell me what's in my basket and what you think we're going to be doing? You can get up and have a look. What do you think? What's there? Anything interesting? Surely you've seen these things before. Ooh, what did you just say?
Is that chocolate?
It is chocolate. What else can you see? What do you think's in here?
Water.
Exactly. And just here I've got some, do you know what that is? Do you know?
Flour.
You're exactly right. And what about this stuff here? Who knows what that looks like?
Salt.
Close. What else looks a bit like that?
Sugar.
It is sugar. So, and then I've got this. What do you think we're going to do? With all of those things, what are we going to do?
Cooking.
Excellent. Okay. Now, when I cook, I make a bit of a mess. So I need to put on my apron. Is that okay? Can you hold my microphone? Whether you've ever done cooking with mum or dad before. Who's helped mum or dad in the kitchen? Yeah? What did you make? Tasty stuff? Yeah? You're not sure? Cake. Good, because that's what we're going to make today. Okay, so the plan is we're going to make cake. Now, can you hold my bowl? All right. So I'm going to start. You can see, where's my recipe? Where's my recipe? Uh-oh. It's okay. I've made this cake a lot, so we should be okay. All right? So we're going to start with the flour. So can you help me? Can someone help me? Okay. Can you tip that flour into that bowl? Yep, all of it, because it's going to be a good cake. Excellent. Perfect. And then we've got some sugar. Can you help with the sugar? Can you help with the sugar? Okay. Good system advertising here. Tip it on in. That's perfect. Now, adults, after what I said earlier about sugar, am I going to be eating this? I'm grateful too. Okay, so we've also got baking powder. Do you know what baking powder does when you put it into a cake? Can you ask the adults what it does? Here you go. Can you put that in? All of it. Are you stirring? Can you stir for me? What does baking powder do? Helps it rise, okay? It's not like yeast in a bread, but it kind of does the same thing. It helps it rise. It gives it air. Okay, so now a little bit of chocolate, all right? We're not going to put the whole lot in like we've done because, oh my goodness, that would be really bad. Be more chocolate than anything. But what do you think? One more? Yeah, excellent. That'll do. That's perfect. All right. Now, we want our cake to be even sweeter. So we're going to use some... Can anyone read what that is? Can you see what it is? Vanilla extract. Excellent reading. Okay, so we've just put a little bit of vanilla extract in there. Okay, that's excellent. Come on, adults. You'd normally use a teaspoon. Let's be real. That was like half a teaspoon. Okay. All right, now this is a chocolate cake, not just white chocolate pieces, but we're actually going to make chocolate cake. I just have one problem. When I was looking in my cupboards earlier, I didn't have cocoa. And it's cocoa that we need to make it chocolate. So I decided it was okay. I found something else. Okay? So we're just going to use this instead. Okay? Is that cool? It's going to make it the right colour. All right? So, and that's all that matters, right? It's just got to be the right colour. So, can you stir that up? Excellent. Excellent. So, how does it smell? Does it smell sweet? No? But we put lots of sweet stuff in there. Okay, we'll just put some water in now. Hang on. All right. Keep stirring. I love that I've got the apron on and she's doing all the work. It's great. Okay, stir, stir, stir. And we need to know, is it going to go brown? Because brown is what we're looking for chocolate cake. Is it going brown? Kind of brown? Oh, maybe I should have brought more gravy. But hang on. There's none left. It's just going to have to do. A little bit more water. You're doing really good stirring. Okay. It's looking. It doesn't smell good? Are you kidding? We've got chocolate chip things and we've got vanilla, we've got sugar and flour, and you're telling me it doesn't smell good? What? Why? What does it smell like? Hang on, let me give it a go. All right, we're just going to get it really... Oh, you're right, it doesn't smell good. It might smell better once we cook it. How about, does someone want to try to see whether it's going to taste... Oh, no. No one wants to try it. You're going to give it a go? All right, come on. Is that okay with you, Mum? Just a little bit. You can stick your finger in there. Tell me what it tastes like.
Tastes sweet. It's sweet.
Excellent. She's so brave. Well, the rest of you don't want to try? What about after I cook it? If I send it back with Lydia for next week, are you happy to eat it? Huh. Guys, I'm usually a really good cook. Sometimes. And you don't want my cake? What was the difference of you liking this cake and not liking this cake? Did you not like the flour? That was okay? What about the sugar? What about the chocolate chips? What about the vanilla and the water? So what was it that made it bad? Just one ingredient made it bad? Just one? Man, oh man. So what you're telling me is that I did everything right except one ingredient, and that was all that it took to make something bad. Is that right? Well, I want to tell you that if you can listen into my sermon today, you're going to find out about someone who made a difference in a batch. Some one person who made a difference in that. Sometimes when you put something in that's not right or something in that's very right, one person can make all of the difference. Today, our gravy made the difference. One brave person, one more than I expected, actually gave it a try. But it wasn't anything you guys want, right? You'll have to see what happens in the sermon to see which person made a difference that I'm going to tell you about. What am I going to do with this? You can bake it. Yeah, I think I'll just throw it away. All right. try some if you want. Adults want to try later? That's fine with me. Yeah, thanks. Okay. That's probably the first time ever a kid has actually said, yeah, I want to try that. So, okay. It's really nice to be back here. I think when I look at my last 2 months, I've been at the upper room, or Mazdak, more than I've been anywhere else. So, impressive. When Michael was away for weeks and weeks, I came with Lydia. And you actually are our physically closest church to where we live. So it's really nice to be able to be back again. And I also like that you meet in the afternoon. I get to stay in bed a bit longer. It's awesome. Okay, so as I said in the children's story, I want to tell you about the power of one person and the power of being able to make a difference as one person. And sometimes we'll say, but it's just me. How can I possibly make a difference? How can anything that I do have an impact? And yet we know, just like in the children's story, one thing can make a huge difference. So I want to tell you the story about one person. One person. So I want to set the scene. I'm a good storyteller, as I said. I like to tell the story. And it's really good to set the scene. I need to give you some history. It's my mum's fault. It all is. Isn't that the way it works? It's my mum's fault that I like to tell stories. You see, my dad used to be a travelling salesperson, and there were 5 of us kids in the family. And my poor mum, occasionally, we would all go with dad as he travelled and did his sales. And mum would have 5 of us sitting in a car waiting for hours for my dad as he talked to people. And so mum's way of, and this was, oh my goodness, so pre-video games. And by the time we'd got to wherever we were going, we were very over each other. 5 kids in a car with 2 parents, 7 of us squeezed into one car, and we didn't have the people mover cars that they have nowadays because they just didn't even exist. So we had an old, my dad used to call it a golden Holden, like it was literally gold in colour, and it was a Holden and it had a bench seat in the front. So 3 people could sit in the front, and then how many of us are left in the back? 4. Not everyone had to have a seatbelt on, right? So, but we used to sit there, and Mum used to get us to occupy ourselves by watching people as they went by. And we would have to tell stories about the people that we saw. Now, just last weekend, Michael and I were in Perth, which is where we spent 6 years, many years ago. Both our girls were born there. And we went to one of the beaches, and we had brunch that was more like lunch, but it was still brunch. And we got a seat in this cafe right by the window, overlooking the beach and overlooking all of the kids that were coming in from the little nippers and, you know, all of that. It was really fun. Michael said to me, wow, this is like you in heaven, because I still love to watch people. Are you a person watcher? Is that, or am I just the only person in the world that does this? Michael knows that if we walk into somewhere and I don't get to see the room, I'm not happy, because I like to watch people, and I tell him all these stories about the people in the room. They might not be true, but it sounds good to me, because I'm allowed to make up stories. That's my mum told me. Okay, so this story, though, is not made up, although it may have a little bit of embellishment with my imagination thrown in there. So I'm going to set the scene for you. Here we go. It starts in Joshua chapter 2, verse 1, and it goes like this. Then Joshua secretly sent out 2 spies from the Israelite camp at Acacia Grove. He instructed them, scout out the land on the other side of the Jordan River, especially around Jericho. Okay, so where is this story going to take place? You know the story, come on. I'm sorry, I forgot to remind you. I'm a teacher, you are my class. So when I ask a question, I'm not just asking it to the air, I actually want you to answer. So where is this story going to take place? Jericho, thank you, you do know. Okay, see, it was all sitting inside your heads. You just didn't want to speak it out. I give you permission. You don't even have to put up your hand in this classroom. You can just say it. Okay, so I'm going to show you what we're talking about here. So first of all, Acacia Grove is also known as Abel Shittim, and it is in Moab, about 12.8 kilometres east of the Jordan River. Okay, so that's the first part. Then Jericho is directly east, another 11 kilometres west of the Jordan River. Now, typically we are told by Bible scholars that a normal man would walk about 8 kilometres a day. Okay? Now, if they were camped about 12.8 kilometres east of the Jordan River, and then they had to cross the Jordan River, and then they had another 11 kilometres to go to get to Jericho. With a quick calculation, working on 8 kilometres a day, how many days do you think it would have taken them to get from the camp of the Israelites to Jericho? 3 or 4? I'll take either. Now, the reason I'm going to take either is this. These 2 young men were born in the desert, okay? How much do you think they learnt how to swim? Unlikely, right? Unlikely they learnt how to swim. Yet there was a small body of water between them and their mission. True? I can also tell you this. At the time of this story, the Jordan River was in flood. That adds a little extra bit of problem. So the Jordan River was in flood. These 2 men may not have been the 2 most competent swimmers in the world, but they were sent on a mission for God and for the Israelites. So somehow, despite their lack of swimming skill, they make it to Jericho, because the story is not about 2 men who leave the camp on the spy mission and drown. So somehow God taught them excellent dog paddle, or they found a really good spot with some great boulders that they could jump from one boulder to the other. I don't know how it happened, but we know they got across. Because we know later that when the Israelites crossed the Jordan River, what miraculous thing did God do to make it possible for them to cross? Sorry? He separated the water. You can cheat and look in your textbook to find any answers that I ask you, by the way. What's your textbook? The Bible. Okay. So do you remember that God actually parted the Jordan River for the Israelites to cross? It was like for this second generation of Israelites, most of them had not crossed the Red Sea. Who were the only 2 people left that had actually gone across? No, it's actually not true, because there were people under the age of 18. So can I say, who were the oldest people left who had gone through the Red Sea? Joshua and? Okay, so we've got Joshua and Caleb, who were the oldest of the people. There were others that were under 18 at the time and probably experienced the crossing of the Red Sea on dry land. But the majority of the people in the Israelite tribe now had only heard that as a story. And they have their own dry land crossing story to tell as they enter the promised land. How cool is that? It's like God's going, I'm not going to just do this for your previous generation. I'm going to show you your own dry land crossing. I'm going to prove that the same miraculous God who opened the Red Sea is going to do it for you to open the Jordan, even though it's in flood. But that's not what this story is about. So here are the people in your story, the characters. Can you tell me the names of the 2 spies? Why not? Actually not in the Bible, but it is in other Jewish literature. So here are the characters. Just let me part the curtains just a second. There it goes. Hang on. Here we go. Phineas and Caleb were their names. Not Caleb as in Caleb and Joshua. Different Caleb, okay? Phineas and Caleb were the two spies. And in my story that I want to tell you today, there was one other character I want to introduce you to her. So just brace yourself. It's a bit scandalous. Rahab. Wait, there's more. The harlot. Now, it's interesting with Rahab because everywhere she is introduced in the Bible or spoken of in the Bible, it actually uses Rahab the harlot or Rahab the prostitute. Sorry for the younger ears. Hopefully they don't know what I'm talking about. I'm wondering, because my brain goes into crazy directions when I study my Bible, but here's the direction I go in with this. I want you to imagine heaven. Can you just do that for a second? And you're walking around and you've had a great couple of 100 years meeting people. And then one day you come across this woman and you say, hey, my name is, who are you? And she goes, my name is Rahab. And your next word is, oh, the harlot. Oh, of course. Like how many hundreds of years do you think it'll be before she loses that second part of her name? It's like her last name. Do you know what I mean? There's this whole thing that goes on. But for Rahab, it was a horrible part of her life. Because I want to ask you, how many of you think that she grew up wanting that occupation? Not at all. There's no little girl that I've ever spoken to who says that when I grow up, that's what I want to be. Right? So you can guarantee this wasn't her choice. And it is most likely because of the city she lived in and because of the tradition of the day that her father owed someone money. And she was the payment because he couldn't pay it. And she was sold into a life that she did not choose. Can you accept that? Yeah. Because no one walks into this life by choice. And in fact, her story goes on because she becomes an innkeeper and actually does a bunch of stuff we know because of what's in the story about her drying flax on the roof of her house. Why do you think she was drying flax? Used to make fibre. The fibre is used for making fabric. It sounds to me like a woman that was trying to change the course of her life. An innkeeper. Someone who's in the business of making fibre, to make fabric, to do something that's a business more than what she had been forced into. Now, there's an interesting thing about the inn. Did you know that most ancient cities actually had inns that were there for free for travellers? They didn't have to pay for the cost to stay in the inn because most of those travellers were traders and they were encouraged to come to the cities to sell their goods and wares. And so these inns were kept for these traders and merchants to come through and have somewhere they could safely stay in the city while they were there trading their wares. And so she had become the innkeeper of one of these inns. Now, at great expense, I found a photo of her. Man, that one just dropped. At great expense, I have a photo of her. They still don't get it. Okay, it's okay. It'll hit you at about 6 o'clock tonight. I want to point out the veracity of what I said with regards to Rahab and where it is found in Hebrews. It says this: it was by faith that people of Israel marched around Jericho for 7 days and the walls came crashing down. It was by faith that Rahab the what? Yeah, mate. That Rahab was not destroyed with the people in her city who refused to obey God, for she had given a friendly welcome to the spies. Now, I think, despite her role, it's pretty amazing that this woman is listed in what I refer to as the Hall of Faith in Hebrews. That despite the fact she was a Gentile woman of uncertain occupation, actually we're pretty certain of what she did, but not one of the things that we all write home about. And here she is listed among some greats, and I mean some truly heavyweight greats in Hebrews 11, where we see all of the big names of people who did really incredible things, and she's there, which is amazing. Okay, so we pick up the story. Since Rahab's house was built into the town wall, she let them down by a rope through the window. And I include this verse at this point because I want to show you what it would have looked like. Again, in ancient cities of the day, it was very common for the cities to have two walls. The walls were typically about 90 feet tall and about 9 feet wide. And they had an avenue between. So an inner and an outer wall. Why do you think they had two walls? Think about strategy. When you're being attacked, why would you want two walls? Because if an army is going to defeat you, they have to go through more than one, right? But her home was in which one? The inner or the outer wall? How do you know? Yeah, she let the spies down, right? And if they were just going into the avenue in between, they would have never have got out of the city. Okay, so we know this. So she was at the most risk for any kind of attack on her city because her home was literally built into that wall. Do you understand? So they put not probably the richest people in the outer wall, but the walls were actually wide enough that you could actually fit an inn. In fact, many of the cities in those days, their walls were wide enough that they could get chariots up there. And they would run chariots around the top walls of a city. Now, I want you to imagine this very wall in Jericho, and you have, well, hang on, I'm going to ask you, what did the king, or who did the king put on top of the walls? Who did the king put on top of the walls? Soldiers, what was their job? Sorry? Yeah, guarding, looking out, right? Okay, I want you to imagine that you've gone to the top of a hill or a good-sized mountain and you're looking out. How far can you see? Sorry? A long way, right? Okay, so how far away did I tell you, go back to what I showed, the slide I showed you earlier, how far away were the children of Israel camped from Jericho? Okay, so could I see them from the top of a high wall? I've got no on this side, I've got people nodding on this side. I think yes. Because we're not talking, if it was just one or two people, if we were just talking about Phineas and Caleb, maybe not. But when we're talking about 1 million people, and we're told in Joshua that there were 40,000 trained soldiers, we have about 1 million people at least, probably more than 1 million people, because there was over 1 million that left Egypt, and they've had 40 years. Yes, some of them died, in fact, many of them died, but they all multiplied, right? So you've got over 1 million people. Do you think from 23 kilometres away, you could see 1 million people as at least a presence that's moving? Do you understand what I mean by that? So they can see what's going on out there. They might not have a clue what they're seeing, but they're worried and they've heard rumours. And remember the merchants that come by? So news travels, okay? So you've got the scene. Let's look at Joshua 2, verses 3 to 8. And I haven't got it up on the slide because I want you to use your Bibles and follow along with me. I read from the New Living Translation. So the king of Jericho sent orders to Rahab. Oh, hang on. I'll go back to verse 2. But someone told the king of Jericho, some Israelites have come here tonight to spy out the land. So the king of Jericho sent orders to Rahab, bring out the men who have come into your house, for they have come here to spy out the whole land. Rahab had hidden the 2 men, but she replied, yes, the men were here earlier, but I didn't know where they were from. They left the town at dusk as the gates were about to close. Okay, I'm back. I don't have to use... Is it okay to lie in some circumstances? It's such a conundrum, this one. Because we really don't know. Is it okay or is it not okay? But in this story, if she hadn't done it, what would have happened? The whole story would have changed. She would have had to have turned them over to the king's men. They would have been killed. Things would not have gone the way God intended them to go. Such a curly problem in this story. I'll let that one just sit with you. You can talk about it over dinner. Okay? All right, we're going to pick it up. Actually, she had taken them up, I've read this, but I'm reminding you, to the roof and hidden them under the bundles of flax that she had laid out. Remember I told you what the flax was for? So the king's men went looking for the spies along the road leading to the shallow crossing of the Jordan River, and as soon as the king's men had left, the gates of Jericho were shut. Why did they take her at her word? What was it about Rahab when they had been told that the men were there, and she says to them, oh, they were, but now they're gone? What was it about Rahab that they believed her and didn't actually search her house? I'm just going to let you cook on that one too. Like, who did she have influence over? Think about that. They didn't search the house. Or was this a situation where God literally shut their eyes? You can think about it, okay? I keep telling you, my brain goes in crazy ways when I'm studying the word. I like to think into the unknown questions. So, verse 9 and 10 picks it up. And this is where it gets really super interesting. Pick it up in verse 8. Before the spies went to sleep that night, Rahab went up to the roof to talk with them. This is what she says. I know the Lord has given you this land, she told them. We are all afraid of you. Everyone in the land is living in terror. For we have heard how the Lord made a dry path for you through the Red Sea when you left Egypt, and we know what you did to Sihon and Og, the two Amorite kings east of the Jordan River, whose people you completely destroyed. Wow. Who does she refer to with great power in this story? By name. The Lord made a dry path. Now, is she an Israelite? Should she know who the Lord is? Is he a God that she would have worshipped her entire life? Did the people of Jericho honor the Lord? So how does she know about him? So much so, I'm going to give you a bit to chew over in the next few days. How did she know about him so much that she chose in this moment to align herself with him and with these spies over everyone else in her city? She had so much belief that the God that these two men served was so powerful that she had to throw her lot in with them to survive. And she went in with everything she had. We see it as we pick up the story. First of all, I want to talk to you about this word, this Hebrew word, chesed. Yes, you can play with it because it's fun to say. You've got to get really deep in the back of your throat. Chesed. Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? Chesed. Okay, so chesed means steadfast love or loving kindness or covenant loyalty. Now, I always tell my classes to make it really, really simple. The covenant for God is an unbreakable promise. Like, we break it, but he doesn't. Do you get that? So when God makes a covenant with us, it is his seal, unbreakable. And we're the ones that break it, not him. And so when we talk about chesed, we're talking about this unbreakable, loving promise. Okay? something that perhaps those of you that are married really committed to in your marriage service, this unbreakable bond between the two of you, this loving unbreakable bond. Okay, so I'm going to pick it up with this word chesed in the idea of faithful love in action. And often in the Old Testament, it refers to God's loving kindness expressed in the covenant relationship with Israel. And he has multiple covenant promises that he makes with them. What is the most recent covenant promise that he left us with? About 2,000 years ago, that still stands. Sorry? He will come back. Okay? So Jesus left us this covenant promise, I will return. And he hasn't broken that. We're holding on to it. We're waiting for it. It denotes God's persistent and unconditional tenderness, kindness and mercy, a relationship in which he seeks after people with love and mercy. Chesed expresses both God's loyalty to his covenant and his love for his people, along with a faithfulness to keep his promises. So now I want to read you what she says next to Caleb and Phineas and put that layer over it for you so that you can understand it a little more. I want you to understand exactly how she spoke to them. Now swear to me by the Lord that you will be kind to me, deal kindly, chesed me, and my family, since I have helped you. Give me some guarantee, make me a covenant promise, that when Jericho is conquered, you will cover me, chesed me. Let me live along with my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, and all their families. Now this deal she's making just blows me away, because she's asking for them to protect her family, the family that sold her into the life she has lived. And yet she still loves them enough that she's wanting to create a deal that doesn't just save her life, but saves theirs as well. She's quite the businesswoman. And it's very apparent in the way she moves forward in this negotiation. She takes the risk to identify with these men and their God. She believed in God's chesed, his covenant promise of kindness, more than the culture she's lived in and worshipped in her entire life. Now she tells them that everyone is quaking in fear. So let's pick it up. Verse 15 to 21. Oh, hang on. I do want to go back. Verse 14. So here is their seal of the deal. It says this: we offer our own lives as a guarantee for your safety, the men agreed. If you don't betray us, we will keep our promise and be kind to you when the Lord gives us the land. So it's like they've got this negotiated deal. She says, this is my terms. They say, we accept your terms. Fair enough? Typical business deal. Verse 15, then since Rahab's house was built into the town wall, she let them down by a rope through the window. Escape to the hill country, she told them. Hide there for 3 days from the men searching for you. Then when they have returned, you can go on your way. So not only does she keep them safe in the moment, she keeps them safe for the next few days, because she knows that the men will be down the Jordan River looking for them, because they know the Israelites are on the other side of it. Got it? So she sends them in the opposite direction. Before they left, the men told her, we will be bound by the oath we have taken only if you follow these instructions. So this is the small print stuff in their contract. Okay? I see Jenny smile because I know the lawyer in her is liking the small print conversation. Okay. when we come into the land, you must leave this scarlet rope hanging from the window through which you let us down. And all your family members, your father, mother, brothers, and all your relatives must be inside the house. If they go out into the street and are killed, it will not be our fault. But if anyone lays a hand on the people inside this house, we will accept the responsibility for their deaths. If you betray us, however, we are not bound by this oath in any way. We finished the conversation with her saying this, I accept your terms. And she sent them on their way, leaving the scarlet rope hanging from the window. So this is what we see. Have you ever considered this before? In the same way that before the Israelites left Egypt, they had to put the blood of the lamb over the doorpost and the angel of death passed over their home. Her scarlet rope became the indication that the ill that was going to befall Jericho, her home would be passed over. Now, I want to point out right now that when this deal was made, no one knew how Jericho was going to be conquered. Think about that. Her house is in the wall, and it is the walls that come down. But no one knew this at this point. So, I want to pick up Exodus 12:13 for a second, but the blood, because this goes back to what I was just talking about, the blood on the doorpost will serve as a sign marking the houses where you are staying. When I see the blood, I will pass over. This plague of death will not touch you when I strike the land of Egypt. Who did know how Jericho was going to be conquered? God. Wow. And I love how this story finishes. I love it. Okay. I've just told you that. Okay. So we know the story, right? We have a bunch of stuff that happens in between that is a really big deal thing for the Israelites. And I'm going to give it to you in a 2-minute nutshell. They cross the Jordan River on dry ground. We've talked about that. They are all circumcised. Well, the men are all circumcised. Ouch. They have to heal from that, okay, which typically takes a number of days. And then they're sent on a crazy walk around. Every day for 6 days, they walk around Jericho once. Now, I want you to think about the people that are rampated inside the city. And they see this group of Israelites get up every day and line up and follow the Ark of the Covenant around their city without saying a word. Now, Andrew, I want to ask you as another teacher in the room, how hard is it to keep 25 kids in a classroom silent for 5 minutes? Yeah, almost. Okay. Think of 1 million people for the time it takes to walk around a city. And they're silent the entire time. Now, to me, that if that's not a God miracle, nothing is. Right? And they do that every day for 6 days. And then on the 7th day, they walk around 6 times completely silent. And Joshua says, you don't do anything, you don't say anything. Today, we're going to do this 7 times. And they're like, okay. And on the 7th time, he says, when I call out to you, you shout with all your might. And by now, he knows. Because who does he encounter outside of the city when he was out walking one day? He encounters an angel that looks like a warrior who's carrying a sword. And he says to the angel, are you for me or against me? And the angel's answer is crazy. He says, I'm neither for you or against you. I always find that one really interesting. Like I would have been looking for, yeah, I'm totally for you. But no, he goes, I'm neither for you or against you. He says, but I am the commander of the Lord's army. And Joshua drops to his knees. He has this amazing moment of, oh my goodness, I'm seeing heaven in front of me. And he's told, this is how this is going to go down. Follow these instructions carefully. Now, I want you to go back and think about, you've got inside this house, in the wall, you've got Rahab and all of the family members that she can possibly convince to come in here and be quiet for a number of days. and there's chaos going on outside this house. I want you to think about it. Chaos. Everyone is panicking because they know that this army has had incredible success is marching around their city. But they're told by her that they are not to leave her house, because if they do, what will happen to them? They'll die. So this is the only place that she can guarantee their safety. And she is so sure of it that she stays there herself. You got it? Now, I want you to think about that seventh time when the Israelites walk around that city and then they shout. And what happens? All of the walls fall down. Think about what it feels like inside her house. Have any of you ever been in an earthquake? Okay, I totally have. Grew up in New Zealand. Earthquakes. Fun times. Okay? It's scary. But this was worse than that. It says the walls all fell down. Now, I want you to think that the walls are all down except this one section of wall. But all around them, what have they felt? Chaos. What have they heard? Confusion, death, panic. And yet here they all are, sitting in this house because she has promised them that if they stay with the chesed promise of God, that they will survive this. And when the walls fall, Joshua tells the army to go in and kill everyone you see. And then he says to Phineas and Caleb, except Rahab and anyone else that's inside her house. And she becomes the savior of her family. And they are led out, unharmed and safe. The power of one person made a difference. And I love the epilogue of this story. This one, Matthew 1, 5-6, which is actually the genealogy of Jesus. And it says this: Salmon was the father of Boaz, whose mother was... Where's her extra title? Hallelujah. Like, not even exaggerating. How awesome it is that she sits in this spot without the title. Whose mother was Rahab. Boaz was the father of Obed, whose mother was Ruth. And I kind of like this part of the story because I think that Boaz was more open to marrying a foreigner because his mother had been one. Right? And sometimes when your eyes are open to the narrow-mindedness that can drive us sometimes, amazing things happen. So you've got these two generations of women who actually broke the mold. You know, you've got Rahab who stood up for God on her own. And then you've got Ruth who stood up for her mother-in-law and said, your people will be my people and your God will be my God. And these two women are listed unusually in the genealogy of Christ. And I just want to leave you with this one question. You're one person. How do you make a difference?
We invite you to stand as we sing our closing song.
dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly trust in Jesus' name. Sing together. My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly trust in Jesus' name. Christ alone, cornerstone, weak made strong in the Savior's love through the storm. He is Lord, Lord of all. When darkness seems to hide His face, I rest on His unchanging grace. In every high and stormy gale, my anchor holds within the veil. My anchor holds within the veil. Christ alone, cornerstone, weak made strong in the Savior's love through the storm. He is Lord, Lord of all. When He shall come with trumpet sound, oh, may I then in Him be found, dressed in His righteousness alone, faultless stand before the throne. Christ alone, cornerstone, weak made strong in the Savior's love through the storm. He is Lord, Lord of
to
text Joanne about the gingerbread groups that you have made today, if you haven't already. Hopefully have a good week, and I'll see you at the park next week.